Hello, everybody. How are we doing? I hope we're all well on this Sunday late afternoon, stroke evening, whatever you want to call it. It is time for your latest Liverpool transfer news update. My name is Dan Clubb, and I will be taking you through some of the biggest news, and in particular, one news story related to the Reds. And it is that Liverpool are reportedly talking to Benjamin Pavard's agents, according to Christian Falk. So we're going to talk about what we know about the potential deal, what it could mean for Liverpool moving forwards, a little bit more about Benjamin Pavard. But please, as ever, do get involved in the chat. Let me know if you'd be happy with this deal. Let me know if the sort of deal Liverpool needs to be getting done. And of course, we'll have a good old chat about other Liverpool transfers as well. I've got a couple of more links that I want to talk about along the way, but I want to get us started on Benjamin Pavard. But before I do that, I just want to scroll back up and find a comment before we went live from Andy App, who quite clearly would be delighted to see Pavard become the latest Liverpool player, because he says what a signing this would be if we can get it over the line. That would be two fantastic signings already sealed off. He won't get his hopes up just yet. So I might try and get your hopes up for you, Andy, in that case, because Christian Falk, the aforementioned Sport Bild chief reporter, I think I'm right in saying, very much a man in the know when it comes to German football especially, and indeed Bayern Munich, of course. He has said, he's told Court Offside that Liverpool are a hot candidate for want-away Bayern Munich ace. So I'll just find his quote here. He said, Benjamin Pavard has informed the club, aka Bayern Munich, that he wants to move in the summer. His agents are already talking to other clubs. Among them, Liverpool is now a hot candidate. Previously, Chelsea and Barcelona were already known to be interested, as well as Italian clubs AC and Champions League runners-up, of course, Inter Milan. Why couldn't you have done the job, Inter Milan? You only had one job and you couldn't get it done. Anyway, less about that and more about Benjamin Pavard, please, because it's an interesting link. It's a link I've touched upon previously on this show and indeed other shows, I imagine. And it's one that I didn't really feel would come to fruition, if I'm being honest, originally, because it felt to me like the defenders we were being linked with, Mickey van der Ven, Jurrien Timber, etc., were much younger. Like they were sort of early 20s, and it felt like if we were going to go and do anything in the market in terms of the defence, it would be someone young, because clearly Klopp, has full faith in Virgil van Dijk still. Ibrahim Konate is a wonderful footballer. I think he's absolutely ready to move on to the next level in terms of his talent. He is absolutely incredible. Joe Gomez is likely to not go anywhere this summer. He's likely to stick around, and I imagine he still has the full backing of Jurgen Klopp as well. And of course, Joel Matip. Now, it remains to be seen what happens with Joel Matip's future, of course. But to me, it felt like if we were gonna go and do anything in the market defensively, it would be a younger lad. I think it's on the table out there, Aaron. Sorry, that's completely not what you guys need to hear. That's just behind the scenes stuff going on. If we were going to do anything, it would be someone younger, just because almost that future proofing and being proactive and almost planning for what happens next. But I do think there is an issue to be addressed there, and it's Ibrahim Konate. Essentially, he is the elephant in the room in many senses when it comes to this, because he's brilliant. I've already said. I think he's top class, but what he is also injury prone. Like, he does pick up problems, and the way we're playing now with Trent sort of vacating his right back spot and going into midfield, Konate, he spoke about it himself when he was doing it. He was like, I'm only human, because he's obviously having to cover centre back and get across the right back as well, and it's gonna take its toll on him. So signing someone like Pavard, who at this stage, I'll bring up some of his stats, who plays as a right back and indeed as a centre back, does make plenty of sense. But the reason I wasn't so sure in it is because he's 27 years old now. So he's very much in the prime of his career, of course, at that age. And last season, he made 43 appearances for Bayern Munich, 20 of them as a right back and 23 of them as a centre back, as you can see there. Now, he actually chips in with 7 goals and 1 assist along the way, which is pretty impressive numbers for a defender. Certainly the goals tally, of course. But for me, it feels like if we're going to sign someone, essentially we do want a backup to Ibrahim Konate, because I think we'd all say that he's the man for that job. And possibly a backup for Trent Alexander-Arnold as well. And Pavard, 27, is he going to want to come in and do that? I'm not entirely sure. He's probably going to want more football than that. So Yeah. Anyway, I'll stop talking for just a second because we've had 5 gifted memberships. I'm reliably informed, so I want to get them on the board before I move on. Gifted by David John as well, so I'm just going to pause things for just a second and thank David John for his very, very kind gesture. And the 5 lucky people are, let me just get the names up here. Here we go. I was going to grab the board, 1 second. So, this board which is just collapsed in my hands. Our 5 gifted members are Nick Pryor. Let's get you on there first. I never know how big to write when I'm writing big. It's a strange thing to do. Anyway, Nick Pryor, Owen Keogh. I bet not everyone pronounces your name right, Owen. But thankfully, as a cricketer... Oh, after saying all that, I've got your surname wrong. How have I managed that? As a cricketer, Owen Morgan is a name familiar to myself. Owen Keogh, Joanne Beestall. Let's get that on there. Joanne, bear with me. I won't be a second, everyone. I promise. There's no H in there, is there? No. Joanne Beestall. And then last 2 are, when it lets me scroll down, Sir Scotty 99 and Peter Harris. Yeah, that's everyone. Cool. Sad. Let me get them on the board and I'll be back with you. Sorry, 1 second. Sir Scotty 99. Are you actually a sir? Or is that just something you're saying? Sir Scotty 99 and Peter Harris. Congratulations and thank you again. You guys are the lucky recipients of 4 gifted memberships, and that allows you to do lots of boss stuff whilst watching us. So yeah, happy days. And that also allows you to watch our biased football transfer podcast tomorrow, I believe, because that is also open to YouTube members now. So yeah, well done. Thank you very much again. I will get back to Benjamin Pavard in just a second. But yeah, thank you very much for that. That's boss. It really is boss. David John, got your name again. I lost it there for a second. Cool. Yeah, boss. Nice one. Benjamin Pavard. So, yeah, like I say, positionally makes an abundance of sense. Age-wise, in terms of what football he's going to want, I still don't know. I still don't know on it. I really don't. I want to bring you just a tweet from Christian Falk as well, because he kind of backed up his own sentiments. He said it was true. The agents of Benjamin Pavard are indeed already talking to Liverpool. So yeah, it feels as though that's a deal that definitely has some legs, quite frankly. And as I say, he would be able to offer depth in as a right back as well as centre back, of course. He's out of contract in 2024. Like you said, he's already told Bayern Munich he wants to leave this summer. So who knows what he definitely is. He's a proven winner. He's amassed a lot of experience already throughout his career. Played a lot for Bundesliga. Played a lot for Bayern Munich. He's 276 appearances now. Won the Bundesliga 4 times. Champions League winner, Club World Cup winner, and indeed another World Cup winner. Much like Alexis McAllister, been capped 47 times by France. I want to pop in the comments just for a second whilst talking about this summer stuff. David John, here we go. Yeah, this is an interesting one actually, David, because he said, I think Pavard only makes sense if Trent moves to a 6 permanently. Pavard too good as a fill. Yeah, he might be too good as a backup, but I also think he's too experienced. He's too lots of things to just be a backup, quite frankly. He's too he's too in his prime to be a backup, basically. If you can't sell this role to Benjamin Pavard as coming in, and if Konate's injured for a week, you might fill in there. And if Trent's injured for a week, you might fill in there. You can't sell it to him like that. This fella's won it all. He's done everything. He's 27. He's going to want to come and play football. So, to the point about moving Trent to midfield, that makes sense in terms of Pavard's, potential signing. Where it doesn't make sense of Trent's midfield stuff is I don't believe that should be the way we move forwards. I believe the system with Trent going from right back to midfield is the way it works best. And just on that, actually, I want to bring up Pavard's career slightly more. I just want to bring up this comment before I do, though, because that's shocked me. Dally Pool says, Dan, would you say Connor Cody for 4 million is a backup? Experience that doesn't need 3 games to get up to speed. This the Connor Cody just spent a season on loan at Everton. Yeah, same fella. Okay. No. No, I wouldn't. Whilst I appreciate where you're coming from, and what Connor Cody does have, I guess, is the fact that he's played a lot in the back three, particularly in his Wolves days, of course. But I just don't see that. I don't see that's a wild shout, quite frankly. It really is. Yeah, that is a wild shout. Where was I? Yeah, I wanted to bring up Pavard's career, actually, because I've already told you where he played this season. But just on the sort of versatility of him, he's played as a right back predominantly, actually, throughout his career. I'll just pop it up. He's played 146 games as a right back, 109 as a centre back. But he's also flirted with different roles. You can see there, he's played as a right mid on a very minute number of occasions, a left back the same, popped into centre midfield a little bit as well, and also played as the six. So the reason I bring that up is because if we are to move forward with a Trent hybrid midfield right back role, Benjamin Pavard doing that on occasion doesn't feel too impossible to imagine happening, because like he clearly is a player that has gone into midfield and feels comfortable doing that. He's a very technical player who can do that role as well. So doesn't feel too far-fetched to suggest that we would persist with the formation and the system that worked towards the back end of the season, with Trent going into midfield from right back, and Pavard will just be the backup option, A, to that, and to Trent doing that, and B, to Ibrahim Konate when he needs a rest, or he's suspended, God forbid, or God forbid even more, he's injured. So yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, David John, I think it is the same one. Sorry, I've brought the wrong comment there. That is not the comment I wanted. That's a CZ Red. Oh, it's the link. There you go. Yeah, David John, that is the same kind of code that celebrated when he thought he scored for the Ever against us. Yeah, I do think he meant that. Somebody's asking what happened with Thuram, George Webster. I will come to that in just a second, but I want to do a little bit more on Pavard before I do. And while I'm talking, I'm just going to find, I think it's what you were referencing there, CZ Red, actually, because as it's Sunday, I've missed something and I failed to bring up my favourite website, and I hope it is what you were referencing, CZ, because I love it. So FB Ref, Benjamin Pavard's FB Ref, similar players to Benjamin Pavard based on statistics over the last 365 days. Some of the names: Nico Schlotterbeck of Dortmund, Danilo of Juventus, Mats Hummels of Dortmund. Okay, Nicolas Süle also of Dortmund. Yeah, I mean, proper centre-halves, a lot of them, aren't they? Let's be honest, they're out-and-out centre-half, some of them. And to me, Pavard doesn't feel like an out-and-out centre-half. Actually, he feels more, he's got more strings to his bow than that. And I guess that's why this interest is there. And I think also on it, I haven't seen a fee mooted actually necessarily for Pavard yet. And that's another interesting angle to it, because, like I said earlier, he's already reportedly told Bayern Munich that he does want to leave this summer. So that should knock the fee down a little bit for a start. The fact that he's heading into the final 12 months of his contract should knock the fee down a little bit also. So if you were to pick up Pavard for a sort of Thiago Alcantara type price, I think we'd be doing some brilliant business there. I really do. Because again, you know, proven winner, proven experience. And although my preference and what I thought was going to happen was we were going to go and sign a young lad who could learn and develop, someone like a Timber, if we were to go and get Pavard, just to come straight in, never played in the Premier League, of course, but just to walk straight in and go, yeah, I can do this role, no problem. Happy days. And if that's cover for Konate and Trent, happy days. And what's even happier days is the fact that I did a quick check on Pavard's injury record as well. And it's pretty good. Quite frankly, it's pretty good. So this is according to Transfer Market, of course. Couple of coronavirus absences in there, but again, height of the pandemic, you know, pretty much every footballer in Europe missed a game or two with corona. He had an ankle injury in 21-22 that made him miss 5 games. 5 games, actually, his longest absence. Early in his career, he had a few little problems here and there, but he's only ever missed 5 games at most. He once torn his muscle bundle in 18-19, which I have never heard of. I'd love to know where your muscle bundle was. Would I, though? Possibly not. In hindsight, possibly not. Anyway, he missed 5 games without whatever that is. And he's missed a couple of 2s, a couple of 1s, not a lot, is what I'm trying to say. His injury record's pretty good. So if you are going to sign cover, you don't want them to be injury prone as well. Your cover has got to be reliable. They've got to be durable. They've got to be ready. And to me, Benjamin Pavard is exactly that. So I'm excited. Yeah, I'll come back to some comments, guys, as well. I'll come back to some comments. Let's see what we're saying about Pavard. Lee Constable says, Dan Club, Pavard would be a solid signing. He thinks he saw 25 to 30 million banded about for his fee, which wouldn't be bad at all. No, I agree with you. I referenced the Thiago fee, which I think was 20, wasn't it? If you could get Pavard for slightly over that, those sort of figures sound happy days. Get him in. Because essentially that's the money we saved on Alexis McAllister as well. Like, who saw us getting McAllister for an initial 35 million? If you could get McAllister and Pavard for what we all thought was the McAllister fee, more like the 60, 70 million pounds, that is boss business. And to reference the point from earlier on in the show as well, that's boss business done quickly, and that is so important. Like, Jurgen Klopp is going to be desperate to get the business done early. We returned to pre-season training, I think it's the 4th of July, off the top of my head. He's going to want his players through the door, if possible, by then. There might be a couple of things still to sort of iron out, potentially, in terms of outgoings, perhaps, but in terms of what the squad looks like and what sort of the core and the nucleus of the squad looks like, he's going to want it done and dusted. So if we can get Pavard done quickly, and there's no reason to suggest why we can't, because according to Falk, again, we're speaking to his agents already, we've already dealt with Bayern Munich a few times in recent years. Obviously, Sadio Mane going there, Thiago coming here. It's clearly a relationship, then yeah, let's go and get it done. Dave brings up a comment as well. Maybe Pavard defensive cover with CZ red. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, it makes sense. Again, I think that's the Canate kind of role, isn't it? And that makes perfect sense to me. Dave says, do you think Pavard would fancy Liverpool in the Europa League, though? Could see a PSG or Real Madrid also sniffing around. Yeah, I think the club you mentioned sniffing around, I could definitely see happening. There's very little reason why not, because he is a player of that sort of pedigree, quite frankly. I've already mentioned he's won everything there is to win, essentially, from where he's been. He's been very successful. So there's no reason why other elite clubs won't be sniffing around. But I say other elite clubs because we are still very much in that bracket, despite having Europa League football for what is hopefully just one season. Liverpool Football Club still sit firmly, pride of place as one of the greatest football clubs, in my opinion, the greatest football club in the world. So I don't think our lure and the fact that players are going to look at Liverpool, no one's going to look at Liverpool and go, no, I don't fancy that. Like, not for me. I just don't see it. Like, we're such an established entity within football. We are European royalty. Like, let's not get it, get it backwards here. Like, this is still Liverpool Football Club we're talking about. So whilst I take your point about the Europa League, and it's a very valid one, I still think he comes to Liverpool if we're at the table. Yeah, absolutely I do. Absolutely I do. And listen, I've been wrong before, once or twice. Could be completely wrong on that. But yeah, I don't think that'd be a problem, quite frankly. Yeah, I'll just go through a few more comments on Pavard because I think it's an interesting one. I really do. It's one that, like I say, I wasn't too sold upon to begin with, but as the days go by and you start hearing about the possible fee and stuff like that, you think, yeah, I can see a world whereby that makes a lot of sense. Zubair Aslam says, Pavard is solid and good technically, but for that Canate role, do you think it's a concern that he lacks pace? I guess so, but I would have definitely said so were it not for Joel Matip's performance out there, because I guess if you're lacking that bit of extra pace that Canate does have, as long as you're intelligent enough and you can read the game quickly enough, which I guess isn't always that easy, but if you can almost be that half a yard ahead, and Pavard's been there, he's done it, he's seen it all. Like, he's already said he's 27 now. He's won a World Cup. He's had some career. He has had some career, We shouldn't underestimate what we're talking about here with Benjamin Pavard's football. I've seen a little bit of negativity around him in the comments, and that's fine. Like, you have your opinion on footballers, absolutely. But on the pace front, whilst it's definitely a valid point, he's not as quick as Ibrahim Konate. If he's half a yard ahead of Konate in terms of his reading of the game and how the situation might develop, it won't matter. It just won't matter. So, yeah, I think I am warming to the idea of the deal more and more. I really am, as you can probably tell as I'm talking. Let's just have a quick look. Final couple of comments on Pavard before I move us on. Andy Cap says, why spend money on Pavard to get splinters on the bench? There's no sense in it. Well, there is a lot of sense. Maybe not from his perspective, might not be sense in it, which is kind of the point I made earlier about how Giselle being a backup to a footballer. And it's difficult. It's not so difficult when they're really young and they're trying to sort of develop their own career. But when they're right in that sweet spot of 27, like Pavard is, then yeah, it's a difficult sell to say, come in, you're not going to be first choice right back or first choice centre back, but come in anyway. That might not be so easy. But it's made slightly easier by the fact you are offering him 2 positions and 2 roles, because he's not necessarily waiting for Trent to get injured or to be suspended or whatever, or be ill, whatever it may be, or drop form, God forbid, that again. Not likely to happen either. But he's not waiting for Trent to do that, or Canate for doing that, because one of them could do it and he's in all of a sudden. If you fill in 2 roles as a backup, your chances are doubled, quite literally. Like, it's simple. Simple maths. Andy App says, okay, Dan, his hopes are up. Yeah, so am mine. And like I say, I'll be cards on the table about it. I could have sat here a week ago when the Pavard stuff first started, really. And I'd have said, you know what? I'm not that sold on it. I feel like it's not something we're going to go and do. But like I say, given the links I've seen, Christian Falk talking about it, confirming the agent talk, yeah, why not? And it's not a deal that Liverpool historically have gone and done. Thiago is the outlier in that, in terms of buying a ready-made, proven elite operator. Like, Thiago definitely was that. If your opinion of Pavard isn't quite that high, he's probably the next step below that, because again, 400 odd football appearances over his career, like, he is, well and truly experienced and ready to go and do it. So it's an interesting comment there. Gary Morgan, hi Redmond TV. Or t-shirt in your store of good quality cotton. I mean, I'm wearing one and it feels fine. So yeah. And that's a perfect segue for me to tell you, cheers. This wasn't even planned, but I will tell you there's 2 new shirts on the store, actually. And of course, they're Alexis McAllister related. Can't say the word. Of course they are. Just had to be. It's El Diaz and I believe El Argentino. There we go. Look at that. Just like magic. El Argentino. Yeah, celebrating Liverpool's new number 10s. That's the Argentine, I believe. My Spanish isn't perfect. That's the Argentine, El Argentino. And El Diaz is the 10, because, of course, he was number 10. Thankfully, he was given the number 10 because our shirt designers were biting their fingernails in anticipation to see exactly what number Alexis McAllister would be given. What's we said? Oh, I see. Yeah, nice. Timothy Parry said, looking to get a free t-shirt on purpose. Yeah, quite possibly. They are good quality, though, to answer the question originally. Yeah, they are good quality. I wouldn't be wearing it otherwise, would I? Let's be honest. I'm not all about the selling stuff. It's not me. Anyway, back to where we were at. People are asking about Khephren Thuram in the comments as well. Just to close on Pavard, I am happy for us to go and sign Benjamin Pavard, especially if it's less than 30 million. Let's just say that. Cover for Canate, cover for Trent, winner, sound. Go and do it. Yeah, Khephren Thuram. So the latest on Khephren Thuram, I did a news show last week. And there's reports circulating that Liverpool had agreed personal terms with the 22-year-old Frenchman. Now, Get French Football News. I think Get Football News fans, I always get that mixed up, have sort of added to that report in many ways. And they've said that, according to their colleagues at Sports Zone, it's not entirely nailed down that Liverpool have agreed personal terms with Khephren Thuram. However, they have said that the deal is getting closer. So they've demonstrated themselves to be very convincing in the eyes of the 22-year-old, and a number of steps forward in terms of talks have been made this week. So if it's not quite done yet, Liverpool are very, very, very much in the hunt for Khephren Thuram, and it appears like it's getting more and more advanced all the time. So it's definitely not a deal that's anywhere near dead, nor is it anywhere near done. But it does appear as though we are moving steadfast towards the signing of Khephren Thuram, which, if you've been watching any of these lives in the past few weeks, it's a deal that I'm very excited about. Like, well and truly sold on Khephren Thuram. Like, you thought I was coming round to Pavard. I'm all in on Khephren Thuram. I want to bring up this comment before I move to the super chat that we've had, because I just can't ignore this, can I? Let's be honest. Dally Pool. Dan, Snog Mario, this isn't what I'm here for. I'm here for serious football chat, but just quickly, Paul Chris Evel. Made a rod for my own back by bringing this up in hindsight. I would Snog Evil. I'm sorry, Paul. I would marry Chris, and I'll avoid Paul. Me and Paul, like, I guess looks-wise, are quite similar. So I'm going to avoid Paul. We're both tall, brunette, bearded individuals with hair. So yeah, I'm going to avoid Paul. I'm going to marry Chris, and I'll tell you why. Because Chris is an excellent cook. Excellent cook. He's very on it in the kitchen. Like, he loves his food. He's a big foodie. He hates the fact that I don't eat meat. So that would be a conversation to have over the kitchen table at some point. But yeah, Snog Evil, marry Chris, avoid Paul. Sorry, Paul. Anyway, moving on. Super chat. That took a unexpected turn for a second. Independent Scott C says, £5 super chat, massively appreciated, Scott, top man. It might be a woman, because independent, I guess you mean for Scotland, could be a woman. Yeah, whatever it is. Thank you very much. Pavard to take Trent's inverted role. Trent to have the shackles taken off and play with Mac and Kone or Thuram. Trent is capable of the Kevin De Bruyne role. Yeah, this Trent in midfield thing just will not go away, will it? It will not go away. And listen, I fully get it. Obviously, I fully get it. I've watched him kick a football. He's incredible. He really is. I've said it before. He's got every club in the bag. He's a phenomenal footballer. Like, he's gifted. Well and truly gifted. And I was saying this yesterday, actually, to a friend of mine. I was like, only Kevin De Bruyne can rival Trent Alexander-Arnold, in my opinion, for passing range, passing ability, technique, all of the above, essentially, in the Premier League. That nobody comes close to him aside from Kevin De Bruyne. What he has, the ability to do with a football at his feet, is just out of this world. It really is. So when this Trent in midfield thing comes up, even before we started playing the hybrid role, of course I got it, because just look what he does. He's outrageous. What he does, his vision, what he sees, what he can do is just ridiculous. So I do understand, but the reason I always fall back on no with it is because I actually think we'll get the best out of him and Liverpool as a football team by using the hybrid Trent, and that's going from right back to sort of the double pivoted six alongside Fabinho as it was, maybe a little bit of Pacetic, maybe a bit of Thuram, who knows. Yeah, I just think that's how we're better off moving forwards. Trent might think otherwise. Trent might want to be in midfield permanently. I know Jamie Carragher spoke to us recently, and he said he sees a completely different Trent Alexander-Arnold when he's in midfield. His body language is better. He has a swagger about him. He enjoys it more. And you might be right in long term. That might well be the future. And Pavard coming in could facilitate that a little bit more, because Pavard can go and do the right back role. Who knows? But for me, I still envisage next season, the start especially, of being Trent at right back, Trent going into midfield, that 3-2, whatever numbers, 3-2-3. That's right. Yeah, 3-2-3 formation. 3-2-3-3. Yeah. Cray Image or Imag, so he says, but Trent can't defend. Yep. Okay, gonna move on from that one very quickly. Yeah, tell me what you think. People are saying about Kone. Somebody said they want Kone. And Florian Plettenberg, a man I've spoken to a few times for Redmen, of course, said it's very unlikely Liverpool sign Manu Kone, Vase of Flowers, just last night, I believe that was. That's not to say it definitely will happen, of course, because there definitely is an interest there. He appears on lots of different reports. He's definitely on a list that Liverpool want, stroke admire, let's say. But Plettenberg was of the opinion that isn't a deal. And yeah, he is around, I think it's 35 million, if I'm being honest. But whatever it is, 30, we're splitting hairs in the modern football day world between 30 and 35. So yeah, I'd be happy to sign him. I've just spoken to somebody just before coming on, actually, a European football expert, who said there are definitely similarities between Kone and Thuram. Kone has a bit more to his game in terms of defensively, whereas Thuram has more to his game in terms of moving forward. So I guess it depends what you want and what we're looking to do and what role we want them to play. For me, it's a right-sided 8 that we need to go and sort of box off next. And Kone doesn't suit that, quite frankly. Thuram, on the other hand, could come and do that role. So that's why if I was picking or choosing between one of them, I would be Thuram. And he's 6'4". Like, I couldn't not mention it. I've mentioned everything I've done. And Brian Atkinson says, Nick, That's so confusing. The word in Germany is Gladbach don't want. I guess you're replying to someone, of course. My bad. The word in Germany is Gladbach don't want to sell, and the deal is unlikely unless Kone forces a move. Yeah, quite possibly. Although I don't know about that. I feel like Gladbach were quite happy to. I think they need to cash in on a couple of players, to be honest with you. But yeah, anyway, go for some last comments before I start to wrap up. I do want to do one more very quick news story before I do, though. And I'm aware I'm rambling on a little bit. Somebody said, let us believe, and has a let us believe, and let us believe. I don't know which transfer you're referencing there. Maybe Kone and Thuram, maybe Pavard. Free Frenchman, that. That'd be a thing, wouldn't it? That would definitely be a thing. Somebody asked any views signing Timber. Yeah, I'd be delighted with Timber. Wilford, I'd be delighted with Timber. I would. I think it makes a lot of sense. Another one who's played right back and centre back, so ticks the boxes in terms of doing that role. Yeah, I think he would make a lot of sense. But again, it feels like if we do go for Pavard, we're going for the more established, ready to go, plug and play type player, as opposed to someone like Timber, who would come in, and Richard Hutchinson, yeah, exactly. Somebody who would come in and need to learn, need to develop more before we could throw him in at the deep end. So, yeah, I guess it depends what we want to do and what we feel like we need to go and do. How much do we trust Konate to play 20 games on the spin? That's the question, isn't it? Like, do we trust him to do that at all? If Matip stays, does that ease the burden on it? Could we then go and sign someone younger? Because we've still got Matip sticking around. If Matip's going, Pavard makes more sense. There's lots of twists and turns to come yet. This is the summer transfer window. Everybody strap yourselves in. There is one more quick news story I wanted just to touch upon. And it will be touching upon it because I've got a feeling I'll know how it'll go in terms of the comments and indeed my opinion. Liverpool don't bring this up, by the way, because I haven't got the news article on me. I've basically wrote it out. Liverpool reports interest in signing Southampton midfielder James Ward-Prowse. Now, this comes from the Daily Mail. Southampton reportedly want £50 million for their captain. Recently relegated Southampton, that is, of course. Now, I have no issue with signing recently relegated footballers. See Andy Robertson, see Gino Wijnaldum. For me, James Ward-Prowse at 28 for 50 million is outrageous. What are they talking about? Like, literally, what are they talking about? Like, we've been mates with Southampton for a few years now. We've had some good football players off them, like some boss ones. Some less so, I think it's fair to say. But 50 million for James Ward-Prowse, like, I'm not going to go as far as to say, anything negative about him because I think he's actually a really good footballer. He's certainly a Premier League level footballer. Like, he's, as things stand, he's about to play a full season in the Championship. I don't think that'll happen. I think he'll get his Premier League move. But come on, 50 million. Like, how much of that millions are made up by the fact he's boss at free kicks? Like, 25 of it. Because according to the same report, Liverpool will be happy to pay £25 million for James Ward-Prowse. It feels to me like one of them that if Liverpool haven't got their business done that they want by sort of August time, I think maybe then we'll possibly revisit James Ward-Prowse, if indeed it's at Southampton by then, because Newcastle and West Ham are reportedly keen as well. Again, I guess he's almost certain to get a Premier League move. The West Ham thing, if Declan Rice goes, does actually make a fair amount of sense. And as a footballer, if we were to go and sign him, I'd be okay with it at a stretch. Like, he fully has to be part of a squad, not a first-team option for me. If you had James Ward-Prowse sat on your bench, fine. Like, that's okay. If you had James Ward-Prowse in League Cup, Europa League stuff, maybe. But for 50 million, good Lord. Like, I get where Southampton are coming from. He's so integral to them. And like I say, he's their captain. But wow. And no surprise, I've been keeping my eye on some of the comments, and I think it's fair to say we're not having James Ward-Prowse as a possible option. Bradley Hubbard, I guess he kind of sums up everyone's feelings in it, actually. I don't think we really need to say much more than that on James Ward-Prowse. It's a massive no. Yeah, I think that's probably fair enough. I want to come back to this because I hope I didn't misinterpret what you meant before, Cree. His point was that Trent should not be a right back, not that Salah should seriously play there. I don't think I ever said that Salah should play right back. And I hope I'm not missing your point again, by the way, because that would be bad. But Trent should be right back, in my opinion. Like, are we that far removed from saying that Trent Alexander-Arnold is the best right back in the world like 2 seasons ago? You know, he was literally where we couldn't sing his praises highly enough as being the best right back in world football. And all of a sudden, like, now he can't play there ever again, quite frankly. I'm not going to get into that. For me, he 100% can play as a right back still. I just think it's important that he does pop up in midfield still, because we've seen how effective it can be, quite frankly. Last couple of comments now, before I do leave you all for this Sunday evening. JJ says, James Ward-Prowse is a good player, but he's not have LFC player temperament. I think temperament is one of the things he probably does have, to be honest. But yeah, okay. Do you mean like elite mentality? Because I guess we've never really seen that, and we wouldn't really know that, so I might be inclined to agree with you on that sense. We've got a new member as well, Mark Righty Red. Is that Mighty Red? I have Mark Wright in my head then. I thought we had Mark Wright. Nice one, Mark. Top man. I'll get that on the board as well before we go. If I haven't misplaced my pen. I might have misplaced my pen. Where's my pen? How'd you lose a pen? I had it. I will get it on the board, Mark. I promise you. Top man. I'll write it on probably after the show now, because I've fully lost that pen. That's some effort from me. I'm not going to find it while I'm live on YouTube, because that wouldn't make for good viewing, stroke listening, would it? How did you get it? It was a different one. How have I lost it? Nice one. Good catch as well. Did I put it back with the board or something? Anyway, I've got a pen, so I'll quickly put you on, Mark. Top man. Sorry about the delay in getting you on. Mark Mighty Red. Mark Mighty Red. When I see Mark and like the word might, the temptation to say Mark Might is absolutely through the roof. Anyway, you're on. I don't know if you can see that because of the lights, but you're on. Nice one. Massively appreciated. Massively appreciated by everybody. And I appreciate you all watching and indeed listening to me for the last half an hour, whatever it's been. It's been a while. Just to very quickly wrap up, then I will keep my eye on the comments just in case we get anything of particular interest. But Liverpool are reportedly holding talks with the agents of Benjamin Pavard, World Cup winner, 4 times Bundesliga champion. Would be a very good option, in my opinion. Cover for Trent at right back, cover for Ibrahim Konate at centre back as well, and just seem to tick some boxes. And at the right price, absolutely, Liverpool, go and get it done. Also, James Ward-Prowse is reportedly on Liverpool's radar as well for a staggering £50 million. That's what Southampton want. Liverpool, unsurprisingly, are not willing to go to £50 million because they're just not. Because we're not a stupid football club. Let's be honest about it. Come on now, Southampton, play the game. Not necessarily a sign I want to see Liverpool make. I think if I'm still sat here in the 7th of August and we haven't got our business done and James Ward-Prowse is still available at Southampton, maybe at a push. Let's not get to that situation because I don't want to revisit those comments. And also, Khephren Thuram remains firmly on the radar. And a report from Get Football News France, got it right this time, have said that Liverpool are getting closer to signing the 22-year-old Frenchman. So, that'll be all for this Liverpool news update. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for all the new members. That is massively, massively appreciated. Sorry about losing the pen and you having to watch me scrabble around to try and find it. I guarantee, promise, take it back already. That won't happen again. It's been a pleasure to speak to you all, as always. Thank you very much for the comments, some boss stuff in there, as ever. I'll see you all again very soon, because I think I'm back tomorrow. Take it easy. Have a brilliant rest of your Sunday. See you later.
Our 3-part documentary series, Bobby Firmino, Best in the World, is being released this June. And if you head to redmenplus.com and sign up, you're going to get early access to episode 1, exclusive access to episodes 2 and 3, and you're also going to get the full interviews with all of the contributors, including Jordan Henderson, Adam Lallana, Ian Rush, and so many more as well. Head to redmenplus.com.
everyone, hope you enjoyed that show. Do you want to get your hands on some amazing Liverpool merchandise? Well, if you become a Red Men Plus Club legend on a yearly subscription, we'll instantly send you 2 merch codes to get you 2 pieces of merchandise from redmenmerch.com. T-shirts are amazing. Go and get yourselves one. Simply become a Red Men Plus Club legend on a yearly subscription, and that code will be in your inbox very, very shortly.